I'd like to propose a critically simple concept to you, but that one that I think would liberate an awful lot of people from a mire that lots of us are currently stuck in. So when you think about narcissistic personality disorder, you didn't start there. Presumably you started your journey by looking for information on why your partner or your mother or your boss lacked empathy and was mean and abusive, and then you read and then you came across this concept and you sort of came from it that way around. I would like to propose an idea, which is the following. It's none of your business whether your partner, your mother, your boss, your father-in-law has NPD. And you shouldn't be coerced or tricked into believing it is. And you shouldn't coerce or trick yourself into believing that it is. Why do you want to know? It's none of your business. What do I mean by this? There is no crucial insight that you will find if you can prove or disprove to your satisfaction, which you'll never be able to do, by the way, whether this person you're thinking of actually has a clinical diagnosis. You're not qualified to diagnose. I'm not qualified to diagnose. And even if a qualified clinician diagnosed a person, you would be asking under what circumstances. And we know perfectly well that if you got a second or a third opinion, you could get a different result. That's just the nature of the beast. But do you know whether this person is cruel or not? Can you answer that question? Are they cruel? If they are consistently cruel across time and across context, it's not just a mood, it's not just a response to a crisis, they weren't just temporarily drunk or something, but they're cruel, frequently cruel, they're always cruel, across time and across contexts, particularly to you. Well, we'll call it NPD sounds fancy. It's an acronym. Narcissistic personality disorder is multisyllabic and pompous sounding. We'll do something slightly less multisyllabic, slightly less pompous, but we'll use an acronym. We'll call it a VCP. A VCP stands for a very cruel person. So what does this give you? Number one, you can diagnose. There's no diagnosis here because we're not clinicians and we're not pretending to be doctors. There's no reason to diagnose, but you can tell me if the person you're thinking of is a VCP. I just made that up. You've now imbibed it as a model and you can work from this model. How would you know? Are they very cruel across time and across contexts? If yes, let's agree to play this game where we call them a VCP. What's the second thing that you're trying to do? Aside from getting some sort of a diagnosis, well, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get closure. You want to know for definite if they have this thing. Can I slap this label on the person so that I can write them off as being mentally ill, so that I can write them off as a potential partner because, I know and accept that there's no hope for the narcissistic personality disorder, so can I write them off? So here's the second thing it gives you. If somebody is very cruel to you inside of a relationship and they are a VCP, yes, absolutely, you have the right to write them off. Yes, absolutely, you have permission to give up on that person, to stop trying to fix the relationship, to stop trying to make it okay. So you have two things. Now, you can say, not diagnose, because we're not doctors, you can say, this person is a VCP. They are consistently and actively cruel, dismissive, humiliating, shaming. They speak to me abusively. They treat me abusively across time and across multiple contexts. Yes. Okay. You're looking for whether you should try and work on the relationship or give up on it. If somebody is intrinsically and fundamentally cruel, give up. And this is why I said in the beginning of the video, it's none of your business whether they have NPD, BPD, CPTSD, type 2, type 3, type 4, whatever. It's none of your business, really. There's something fundamentally sick about the way we're doing psychology, or let's say psychotherapy, let's say psychiatry. It's sick and it's sickening. So you're going to label somebody based on behaviors that you detect externally, because there's no endogenous test that you can give somebody to see if they have NPD. You can't see it. You can't check their urine. You can't check their blood. You can't scan their brain or their bones, or there's nothing. So how do we diagnose in inverted commas, because that's a medical term, if a person has this thing called NPD? By observing their behaviors. Who is going to observe the behaviors? The humans around them. So the humans around them are going to observe their human behaviors and then make a judgment about the potential medical diagnosis. Yes. Just snapshot that for a second. Do you see a problem with that? Do you see, I'm not saying it's impossible, and I'm not saying that clinical diagnoses are irrelevant or not useful, or that the model of NPD isn't a perfectly valid model. But it's not for you, and it's not for me. It's a useful thing for psychiatrists and psychotherapists to talk to each other about. But quite honestly, it is a terrible, terrible mistake for you to be sat there wringing your hands trying to figure out if your wife has narcissistic personality disorder. It's none of your business. What is your business is she loving towards you? Is she kind towards you? Is she supportive of you? No, she's cruel. Okay, then she is VCP, and you should be looking for the exit on that relationship. You should give up hope. No normal, sane, rational, kind person with whom you can construct a healthy relationship would consistently display patterns of cruelty across time and across contexts, especially when they're being given feedback by you. Hey, can you stop doing that, please? It hurts me. It's not necessary. You don't need to do it. Stop it, because it's painful for me, and it's painful for other people as well. And they keep going. That's a very cruel person. You are with a cruel human being. That is your business. That is something you can talk to your buddies at the bar about, or your girls at the mimosa brunch about, or whatever you do. I don't know what do people do. I don't know people. I don't hang around with people. I think that's becoming evident as time goes on. You shouldn't be listening to mental health advice from me. I'm clearly nuts. What do humans do? But I know this. It's none of your business. It's none of my business. I think people are looking for a yes, no, give up or keep going scenario. Don't explore NPD from that point of view. You will drive yourself completely mad, because there is no bottom to that bucket. There's no bottom to that bucket. You just keep going and keep going and keep going. The argumentation, the debate, the discussion is far from settled in psychiatry, in mainstream psychiatry now. Look at, if you want examples of that, if you have a mind, if you've got an academic leaning, you can look at the not controversy, but something of a controversy around BPD and the diagnosis of BPD. These things are far from settled. There are factions, there are agendas. There are people who want it to be this way because it means X, Y, and Z. There are people who don't want it to mean that because it means something else. None of these things have tests. There's no biological tests for any of these things. They're social constructs that are universally agreed upon. Narcissistic personality disorder is not a useless or meaningless diagnosis per se. When you compare it to other diagnoses, I would say it's probably one of the more valid ones. Borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, dissociative identity disorder. There's tons of them that I'm like, I'm not sure. That's a debate for another day. And it's an academic debate. Unless you're an academic, why would you care? It's none of your business. So let me come back to one of the points I started off with, and I'll conclude with it. When clinicians, when people, when human beings look at a human and decide whether they have NPD or not, they observe behavior from the outside. They observe actions, they observe interactions, they observe communication. That's it. When you're outside of your partner, your wife, your husband, whoever the significant person is in your life, and you're observing their behavior, if you start trying to figure out what their childhood trauma is that created this reaction formation, this complex post-traumatic stress response survival strategy that is delusions of grandeur and blah, it's none of your business. That human entity is not qualified for the role of partner. They can't carry their weight, and life is short. Yes, that's so sad that their mother didn't love them, the father was not around, or it's so sad, isn't it? It's so sad. Want to know what else is sad? Is when people throw their lives away on false hope. Don't compound sadness with tragedy, and don't team up with one of these very cruel persons to write your own catastrophe. It's not necessary. If the person is very cruel, you can say this person is a VCP, and you can know in your heart that they're very cruel across context, across time, not just with you, but with other people as well. Give up. Give up. Despair, grieve, leave. Despair, grieve, and leave. Get on with your life. Life is short. There's terrible, terrible things have happened to people. People are in odd shapes, they're twisted, they're like this, they're like that. Who knows what they've been through? But my God, what are you going to do? Would you cuddle Saddam Hussein better? Would you embrace Uday Hussein, Saddam's son? I know you torture these innocent civilians and you engage in these hideous, but I know, you poor boy. I mean, you can do, if you want to, well, you can't because they're both dead, but you can treat murderous, violent, torturing psychopaths that way if you want to. But why don't you find somebody who's actually worthy of that love? Why don't you get with somebody who can reciprocate? Are you Jesus down from the cross? Are you the Mother Mary? Do you have delusions of sainthood and martyrdom? Don't waste your life. Just say, that person is a very cruel person. I love them. I don't really think they're capable of loving me. I know that they're not capable of doing a relationship because you can't just have one person abusing the other person in a so-called loving relationship. Or if it's your boss, you can't have a professional relationship with somebody who's attacking you all the time for their sadistic glee. It's not possible. And listen, final point. If you have your moral philosophy worked out so well that you can live with some moral absolutes, I promise you, all of this will become so much easier. And you will get to a point where you will act and feel as though this is simply outside of your control. That's the end goal. I don't allow that in my life. That is not love. You're telling me you love me, but you act like this. That's not love. So you're either lying or you've got something else going on, but it's none of my business because you've been given a chance to fulfill your role in the relationship and you've proven to me time and again you're not capable of it. And as sad as this is, and as much as I will cry, and it's a terrible tragedy and I'll be heartbroken for months, there's no future in this. Life is short, my time is precious, and that's it. Very cruel persons. Super simple concept. It will afford you a lot more liberty than getting yourselves stuck knee deep in the weeds, trying to figure out something that even the psychiatrists themselves haven't quite figured out to a nicety just yet, because it's kind of impossible. It's impossible. And at the end of that road, when you get into the psychiatric weeds, you're imbibing an ideology that says, don't judge the client. Everything is morally relative. That is appropriate for a psychiatrist. That is appropriate for a psychotherapist. It is absolutely fatal to a partner. It is not your business to be a non-judgmental, space-holding, morally relativistic, floating brain in a jar. I mean, it's not your job. You're not a psychiatrist. You're not their psychotherapist. You're a person, you have needs, they can't fulfill those needs, they're not reciprocating what you're giving them. Keep it simple. It's a very cruel person. Let it go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and for your attention, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Cheers.